Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sports Star. Today we're doing our mock draft 5.0, so we're going to be going over what we think is going to happen in this upcoming 2021 NFL draft that's happening next month actually. It's March now, which is crazy, but it's March and the draft is in late April, so we're getting close to the draft, so guys, please subscribe if you're new. We've got tons of content coming. Maybe drop a like if you like the video. Maybe turn on post notifications. Ever since we hit 100 subscribers, this sport has just been crazy. We've been going up in numbers by a lot. So appreciate your support and keep it coming. Subscribe if you're new, and let's get into the mock. Okay, so first overall we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Trevor Lawrence. Not much of a surprise. I don't think I need to discuss this at all, actually. He's got all the athletic abilities, all the off-the-field character you want. He's got a absolute arm that can throw it literally anywhere on the field you want. He's just the perfect quarterback, to be honest. Next pick. Okay. The plot thickens. Okay, so we have a trade at number 2 overall. The Houston Texans have reached a deal with the New York Jets. So, the Jets received Deshaun Watson, who is finally being traded out of Houston. And the Texans receive a first-round pick this year, which is number 2 overall. Another first-round pick this year, which is 23rd overall. Next year's first from the Jets, and a third next year for the Jets. So the Jets, they're giving up a lot of capital, but for a QB like Deshaun Watson, I think this might even not be enough, to be honest. But knowing the Texans, they'd probably trade they'd say yes to a deal for a fourth for Deshaun Watson or something. But yeah, this deal was, I think, mutually fair for both teams. The Texans really need just draft capital overall just to rebuild, and the Jets, the Texans need draft capital, and the Jets really, to be honest, they're not a bad roster. It was just bad coaching last year. Deshaun Watson is a really good quarterback, and this trade looks good for both sides for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but I really like this trade for both sides. So now the Texans, they're going to go ahead and pick Zach Wilson, QB from BYU. Now that you got the second overall pick, you might as well spend it on your cornerstone for the future. Hopefully you're next to Deshaun Watson, but obviously probably not. He's just Deshaun Watson, obviously. He's really good. He's great. But hopefully you can at least establish some sort of, building block on your team. That you can build the rest of your team around, because right now you got absolutely nothing, to be honest. Absolutely nothing. You just lost JJ Watt to the Cardinals in free agency. You just lost last year lost DeAndre Hopkins in a horrible trade by Bill O'Brien. And now you just lost Deshaun Watson. So yeah, the Texans desperately need anything, and Zach Wilson is a good step in the right direction. Alright, so at number 3 overall, we have another trade. This time, it's the Panthers moving up with the Dolphins to potentially definitely draft a quarterback of the future with this kind of draft capital. So the Panthers get the 3rd pick for the 8th pick, the 73rd pick, which is the 3rd rounder, and the Panthers' 1st rounder next year. So obviously a ton of capital. The Panthers, they really are not sold on Teddy Bridgewater. They want another quarterback, and obviously it's really either going to be Justin Fields or Trey Lance at this pick. For the Dolphins, I think you could probably still get a player of the caliber you would get at number 3, at number 8? Yeah, 8. Which I think it would be like a wide receiver, maybe a Kyle Pitts. We'll just have to see. But at the 3rd pick, the Panthers are going to go Justin Fields, QB from The Ohio State. If you're trading up, you're with that capital, you got to take a quarterback. Justin Fields is outstanding. I think he might have a bit of concern with his pocket presence, but really that might be scheme as well. I don't think it can be looked at too negatively. And the Panthers really yeah, this is a great pick for them. They're QB of the future for sure. With the fourth pick, the Falcons are not going to make it 4 QBs in a row. They are going to go Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. And they are going to make that defense somewhat competent, maybe, possibly. Their defense was horrible last year. This year, it remains to be seen, obviously. Free agency has not started yet. But they missed out on J.J. Watt, which I don't think he would have wanted to go out there anyway. But Micah Parsons, I know that he's been falling a lot on people's boards lately, but I think he's still a good caliber player that really could help out the Falcons. Now the Bengals at 5, this is played perfectly into their hands with 2 teams trading up for QBs, 3 QBs in a row in the top 3, and then the Falcons going defense. This is perfect for them. They get their tackle for the future, potentially 10-15 years with the team. And they just need offensive linemen to protect Joe Burrow now. It was the reason why he didn't finish the year last year. And yeah, this is perfect pick for them. Alright, so we have our third trade of the mock now, at number 6 overall. The Niners are jumping up to potentially draft a QB. They're going to be getting the 6th pick for the 12th pick, a 4th rounder this year, which is the 117th overall pick, and then a 1st rounder and a 4th rounder next year as well. So 2 firsts, 2 fourths, a lot of capital again being traded. And for the Niners, I think this is just perfect. They need a QB. Probably going to draft one here. For the Eagles, I think what you do in this situation, either you could trade up maybe with the Dolphins and draft a Justin Fields, or maybe even sit here and draft a Trey Lance or something. But to be honest, I think you give Jalen Hurts a shot, and even if he doesn't work, at least you've got all this draft capital now that you can use to maybe trade up next year, or if you're bad enough, you're obviously just going to get that great pick next year anyway. So I think this really works for the Eagles. And yeah. So the 49ers now, they go Trey Lance. Obviously, they moved up for a QB. And I think this is a perfect fit in their scheme. Shanahan offense will really use Trey Lance to his full potential. Obviously, we don't know for sure yet. But this is a great fit and just a great opportunity for Trey Lance. So the Lions at 7, Jamar Chase goes to them. I really love this pick for the Lions. I think Jamar Chase is a top 5 player in this draft, but because of his opting out in 2020, he definitely fell off people's boards a lot. But yeah, he's a great player. Kenny Galladay might leave in free agency. Actually, probably will, to be honest, knowing the Lions. But if he does leave, they do need an alpha outside. And even if he doesn't, Jamar Chase will still be a wide receiver 1, and Kenny Galladay will be the 2, or maybe I'm not sure. They'll have to see out there. Jamar Chase will definitely, to any offense really, he'll help for sure. So the Miami Dolphins now, the top 2 wide receivers go back to back. So I said earlier that the Dolphins, if they traded down, they'd probably still get a player of the same caliber, or maybe even higher, at 8, and get a ton of draft picks. So. That's exactly what's happened. I would have taken at 3 probably not Justin Fields. I would have taken Jamar Chase for the Dolphins. But you know what? Devontae Smith is just as good, if not better. I think he might have a little bit better potential, actually, than Jamar Chase. And Devontae Smith would immediately be the wide receiver 1 and just bolster that wide receiver room even more. So now the Broncos at, number 9, I think. They got Kwity Paye, edge out of Michigan. And this might be a debatable pick. I think this is a great pick for the Broncos, mainly because, first, they're probably going to release Von Miller this year. They're probably going to let him walk. And second, even if they don't, they could probably use another edge rusher, even though it seems like every year they need one, and maybe they do address it every year. It feels like, especially this year, Von Miller's gone, probably. Jarrell Casey's not on the team anymore, even though they don't exactly play the same position. Kwity Paye could definitely slot in very nicely along with Bradley Chubb on the opposite side. So yeah, this makes sense for me. Get younger at the position, get cheaper. Yeah. Dallas Cowboys. This is played perfectly for them as well. Like the Bengals, the board has just worked their way for sure. Patrick Surtain falls to them, cornerback from Alabama at 10, which, to be honest, they got Trevon Diggs last year in the second round. He was actually potential first round player, but they got him in the second. Now they're getting another Alabama corner, and this one is about 10 times better. Like, he is amazing. The teams were literally SEC teams were scared to throw his way. That's why he didn't get many stats, but that was mainly because he was just locking guys down. Nobody could get away. Nobody could, get open on him. So he's a perfect fit for the Cowboys, and it would be a great pick for them. All right, the Giants. Oh boy, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama. To the Giants, I think the Giants really they could have used Kyle Pitts here as well, but Jalen Waddle will do just fine. He is so fast, and he can be used in a variety of ways. So it's a great pick for the Giants, and I honestly just love this. If I were a Giants fan, I'm a Titans fan, but if I were a Giants fan, I would love this pick. Speaking of Kyle Pitts, the Eagles go ahead and after the trade down, they go ahead and pick Kyle Pitts. So you know what? If Jalen Hurts doesn't work out, at least you have a solid offense. You have Kyle Pitts now, who is a almost slot wide receiver. He's a huge wide receiver, or just a really fast tight end, whichever way you want to look at it. But he's just really, really good. And just to build that solid offense around Jalen Hurts, especially if you don't invest in him and around him, maybe if you invest in the defense instead, then he's not gonna exactly succeed. So I think Kyle Pitts is a good pick here. It just bolsters their receiving room. So the Chargers go Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, offensive tackle. They really just need offensive linemen at this point. Justin Herbert was Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, and just great this past year. But he didn't really have much time to throw the ball, so Rashawn Slater definitely bolsters them up. Alright, and now we have our fourth and actually final trade of the mock, but it is another big trade. The Bears are jumping up to 14 to try to jump the Patriots, and the Vikings are moving back. So the trade details are the 14th pick, for the 20th pick, a third round pick this year, which is the 83rd pick. Then a second round pick from next year and then a fourth round pick from next year. So actually, to be honest, I think the Vikings definitely got the most out of this trade, but to be honest, the Bears would probably be willing to give this and maybe even more to move up and jump the Patriots, because now they get their quarterback of the future in Mac Jones, out of Alabama. He is amazing. To be honest, the Alabama offense was more or less just dink and dunk down the field. But when he did throw, his decision making was great. His arm was great. His accuracy was great. And he was even great at the Senior Bowl. So I think he's a great fit for the Bears, and I think he's just a great player overall. The Patriots definitely will be mad, and instead of picking Mac Jones, they'll be picking Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue. Rashad Bateman is still on the board, which they would definitely consider him. But I think at the end of the day, it would really just come down to, would you rather take a speed guy or another outside kind of guy? And I think they need speed more so now. So that's definitely what they take here. Rondale Moore is an outstanding player, and yeah, Patriots take him here. So the Cardinals, they just signed J.J. Watt in real life a few hours ago as I'm recording this. So Caleb Farley is now their pick. I originally had them taking, I think Azeez Ojulari or maybe Jalen Phillips, I'm not actually sure. But Caleb Farley now, since the edge rusher is not much of a problem anymore, I think you go win now mode Now that you got J.J. Watt and you got so many veterans on that team, but you also got that youth with like Kyler Murray and stuff. So you just add to that corner room. Yeah, Patrick Peterson. I think he's gonna be a free agent, right? I don't think he's gonna come back. So they definitely do need a number one, and Caleb Farley at Virginia Tech was just great last year. So he was on an island and he was shutting guys down. So great pick for them. The Raiders go Gregory Rousseau, edge out of Florida. So he is an amazing prospect, but the thing is he's also very raw. So if he flops in the NFL, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise, but also he could turn into the next, like, Joey Bosa or something. Or Nick Bosa. Both Bosas are really good. Either way, Gregory Rousseau he was like a top 5 pick, I think, in my way too early mock draft, which was, I don't know how many months ago at this point, but maybe like a couple months after like the actual draft last year, so maybe June, maybe. Anyway, Gregory Rousseau, he's fallen quite a bit since then, and he might be a bit of a reach here depending on how he actually pans out in the NFL, but he could also be a steal here too. So yeah, it's just a high upside, high risk pick, but the Raiders, honestly, why not? They're a team that nobody can really predict what they're picking, so I think any pick for them really would be suitable. So yeah, Gregory Rousseau to the Raiders would be great. Alright, the Dolphins go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think he's really close to Micah Parsons in terms of play. However, one went number 4, and then one is going like late teens. So obviously, it's just need and draft like scheme fits and stuff like that. But out of Notre Dame, he's a really fantastic player, and really is he can do a lot of things. He can cover wide receivers. He can obviously blitz. He can cover running backs out of the backfield. He's a really good player and a really good a really good leader as well. Now the Washington football team, they're going to take Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. So now that I think Alex Smith is officially not going to come back to the football team anymore, and they were probably eyeing Mac Jones, but since he's not available anymore, the Bears jumped up to get him. They have to just settle for either the best offensive tackle or the best wide receiver available, whichever is better in their eyes. I think, at least in my eyes, Rashad Bateman is better than any offensive tackle right now. And Terry McLaurin could really use some help. He's getting double teamed all game long, and really, if he's not productive, it's not because of him more so, it's just because there's no one else on that football team roster that can really do anything, and he's really helpless out there. So they really need to get him some help, and they do here. And their QB of the future, whoever that is. Alright, so the Vikings. Now they go J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina, who I think has fallen quite a bit already. J.C. Horn is an incredible player. He can really lock guys down, and he's the 3rd corner off the board already. And the Vikings took a corner last year, if you remember, late 1st round. I think they traded back with the Packers, was it? Maybe, I'm not sure. Either way, they got a corner last year. They're getting a corner again this year, but I think J.C. Horn is much better than whoever they got last year. Honestly, I don't even remember. Yeah, he's a really good scheme fit, to be honest, with that Mike Zimmer defense. Yeah, he can really help them out. Alright, and then I have the Colts taking Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. I think Christian Darrisaw is a great player, great fit for the Colts as well. I think their season really is going to come down to Carson Wentz, whether he can play to his potential or maybe play like last year. If he plays to his potential, they could go on a Super Bowl run. If he does not, if he plays like last year, their season could be doomed from the outset. So really, that Colts team needs to just surround him with the best players possible. This is a great start. Christian Darrisaw is a great offensive tackle, and maybe pick up a wide receiver too, maybe 2nd, 3rd round, and then maybe late rounds. Obviously, this wide receiver class is just amazing. So many great wide receivers. just like last year. So yeah, surround him with the best possible players, and that's the recipe for success. The next pick, the Tennessee Titans, my Tennessee Titans, are picking another Georgia player for back-to-back years. Hopefully this one is much better than the last. Cough, cough. Azeez Ojulari, edge out of Georgia, is really good, and I think he's going to play perfectly in our scheme. The Titans really desperately need edge, like pass rush, and Azeez Ojulari is a great player for that. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say here. He's a great scheme fit, and yeah, he's a great player for sure. All right, so now the Texans, they traded away Deshaun Watson. They got the 2nd, the 23rd, Jets first rounder next year, and a 3rd for next year as well. So this is one of their picks, and they are getting Christian Barmore, a defensive tackle out of Alabama. To be honest, just best player available at this point. Yeah, not much to say here. Just grab a really good player in Christian Barmore, and just help build that defensive line back. All right, now the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I have them taking Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. So the reason I have them taking him is because, to be honest, their running game last year, towards the end of the year, just fell apart. James Conner was not doing it. Another guy, I forgot his first name. His last name, I'm pretty sure, was Edmonds. Either way, the two of them just were not getting it done. And that could be down to the offensive line. That could just be obviously them. Either way, I think Najee Harris is an improvement over both of them considerably, to be honest. And the Steelers just need to push, like, they need to just go all in on this year. Try to win the Super Bowl this year, because after this, Big Ben might be gone. He might retire. If he doesn't retire, to be honest, I'm not sure how long the Steelers will want him to be their quarterback. Either way, just make one final, like, all-in year, and Najee Harris is the start of that. Maybe trade away, like, a 2nd, 3rd, something, like, for, like, a really solid player or something. I'm not sure, a veteran. Maybe just an all-in year is really what they need. So the Jacksonville Jaguars now are going to take Elijah Vera-Tucker, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. So now, this is an interesting pick. I really like Elijah Vera-Tucker. And obviously the Jaguars really need offensive tackle. It'll be interesting whether they'll re-sign Cam Robinson or not. They obviously just drafted Trevor Lawrence, so they will need to protect him, and James Robinson is going to need some running lanes, so Elijah Vera-Tucker will help. The thing about him, I think it might be, I'm not sure. I don't really like him as much as many other analysts. I think he might slip a bit in the draft. That being said, he could also get picked quite considerably early, like teens. It'll really just come down to scheme and fit. I think the Jaguars are a decent fit. They're not the best out there for sure. Yeah, it's an alright fit. But the Jaguars just go pretty much best tackle available, and this was by far the best. So. The Browns then go Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa. Zaven Collins is, in my opinion, a either borderline first or maybe early second round player. And the Browns do not have many weaknesses at all whatsoever. So they easily get probably their biggest need, maybe? I'm not sure. One of their biggest needs for sure. They get Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. Really good player, and it would help the Browns immediately. Alright, now the Ravens, we're getting to the end of the draft. The Wyatt Davis, guard out of the Ohio State. So Wyatt Davis is a really, really good player. I watched him at Ohio State. He was really, really solid. Definitely first-round caliber for me. And the Ravens, Marshall Yonder retired before the past year, 2019 offseason. And they still haven't replaced him yet. So, Wyatt Davis would be really good. They could also go wide receiver. They could also go edge. They could go a variety of options here, but I think Wyatt Davis would be the best fit schematically, and I think the best fit for your team going forward, and even just for this year too. Alright, so now we have our fifth trade, actually. I think I might have said there's four. There's actually this fifth trade This doesn't really have anything to do with the first round, but it does change the landscape of the NFL a little bit. So the Saints received Sam Darnold, quarterback, from the Jets, and they're only paying about a second-round pick, which is 60th overall, which is honestly closer to a third-round pick than anything at this point. There's only 64 picks in the top 2 rounds, so it's really close to a third-round pick. But late second round pick is the compensation for Sam Darnold to move him out of New York. The Jets just traded for Deshaun Watson, so it makes no sense to keep Sam Darnold. Honestly, they would probably be willing to take a third, maybe even a fourth round pick for him, but second definitely will do. Saints really need an option, like an answer for next year. Taysom Hill, I don't think will do it. He had that flashy one game in the season. And Jameis Winston, I think, will probably go to a team that is willing to pay him a bit more for his services, and maybe even be a starter somewhere. So I think Sam Darnold will be a nice not rookie, but cheap contract player for the Saints. The Saints, though, with their 30th? No, not 30th. Maybe like 29th pick. No, it's 28th pick. Sorry. They picked Pat Freiermuth, tight end out of Penn State. And now they have a really, really solid offense. Sam Darnold's going to be coming in. He's going to be playing quarterback. He's going to be throwing to Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Pat Freiermuth. This is a really good offense now. Surround him with all the wide receivers and all the receiving really wide receivers, tight ends that he could ever need. And that's just a recipe for success. That's not what he had at all in New York. Let's see if he could do something with it in New Orleans. And that offensive line is already great. So if he can get something done, that'd be great. Okay, so now the Packers, they take Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida. Finally, they take a wide receiver in the first round. Yeah, they need wide receiver, like now, like yesterday, they need a wide receiver. Yeah, Kadarius Toney is borderline for me as well. He's really good, but he's a bit more of like a boom or bust player for me. Definitely a really solid player when he's playing at his maximum, but can get a little shaky every so often. But the Packers are just at this point. Devontae Adams is great. Get something on the opposite side of him. So now the Buffalo Bills at pick number 30 go Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback out of Florida State. Maybe best player available spot. I think corner is a bit of a need, not too much. Maybe look at a wide receiver here, but I think, to be honest, corner, Asante Samuel Jr. is really good. First round caliber for sure for me. And I think, they could use someone in that secondary to help. And the Kansas City Chiefs at pick 31, they take Carlos Boogie Basham Jr., edge out of Wake Forest. Just to be honest, the Chiefs just get younger at positions and get cheaper at positions. Good fit schematically as well for the Chiefs. Yeah, really good just selection from the Chiefs overall. I think maybe they could have gone Jalen Phillips, but I think maybe Carlos Basham is a bit better, like schematically. And yeah, just get cheaper, get younger, and get better, really, to be honest. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ran out the first round with Jalen Mayfield, offensive tackle out of Michigan. The Buccaneers really, they don't need much, but they do maybe need a second offensive tackle. They could also have gone Jalen Phillips because he's still on the board. But I think this pick solidifies their offensive line, not only for this next year to make a Super Bowl defense, but also for the future even when Tom Brady's retired. So that, guys, is our 2021 NFL Mock Draft 5.0. If you liked it, please leave a comment and saying something. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on the post notifications. Yeah, and even if you didn't like it, please let us know what you didn't like, because really it's your feedback that we take into consideration in our future mocks. And it's your consideration that really gives us insight into what we should be looking at and what we shouldn't. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you shortly with our next video. See you next time.